A bone-chilling blizzard howls through Montana Territory, 1887, where a single cry pierces the frozen silence. Black Wolf, a Comanche leader scarred by loss, has sworn never to care again, until he finds Tabitha Toby Dawson, a 10-year-old girl dragging her twin siblings through the snow, fleeing a ruthless killer. Her courage reignites a long-buried vow, pulling Black Wolf into a battle against a powerful enemy. Will they triumph, or will the ice claim them all? Subscribe now and share where you're listening from. Let's see how far this tale travels. Stay to the end to uncover the shocking truth behind Toby's mission and Black Wolf's redemption. Don't miss a single moment. The wind screamed like a banshee across Montana Territory, 1887, tearing at the pines and burying the world in white. Snow stung like buckshot, and the cold was a living thing, sinking claws into anything foolish enough to breathe. Black Wolf, once a Comanche war leader, now a shadow haunted by ghosts, crouched in his hide-covered lodge. The fire spat embers, barely holding back the chill. His hands, calloused from a lifetime of war, traced the edge of an eagle feather charm. His wife's, her last gift before soldiers' bullets stole her and their daughter. He'd sworn to let the world rot, to never lift a hand for anyone again. Then it came, a sound so faint it might have been the wind's trickery, but it wasn't. A child's cry, high and desperate, sliced through the storm. Black Wolf's head snapped up, his dark eyes narrowing. He grabbed his buffalo robe, slung a rifle over his shoulder, and pushed into the blizzard. The snow swallowed his tracks as he followed the sound, boots crunching, breath clouding in bursts. It wasn't instinct driving him. It was something older, a pull he couldn't name. He found her at the edge of a ravine, a small figure crumpled in the drift. Tabitha Toby Dawson, 10 years old, her face gray as ash, lips cracked and blue. Her hands, bloodied and frostbitten, clung to a rope lashed to a travois. 2 pine branches bound with rawhide, dragging 2 wooden crates. Inside, barely visible through torn blankets, were her twin siblings, Grace and Henry, 18 months old, their breaths shallow, faces waxen. Toby's eyes, wide and old beyond her years, locked on Black Wolf. "They killed Mama and Papa," she rasped, voice breaking. "Don't let him take us." Marcus Blackwood. Black Wolf knelt, his shadow falling over her. He'd seen Death's work before, on battlefields, in raided camps. But this was different. This girl had hauled her kin through hell's own winter for days, maybe more. He cut the rope from her frozen hands, wincing as skin tore. Scooping her up, light as a sparrow, he hooked the travois over his shoulder and fought back to the lodge, the wind clawing at his back like a living enemy. Inside, the fire's warmth was a faint promise. He laid Toby on a bearskin, stoked the flames until they roared, and turned to the twins. Their tiny bodies were ice cold, their whimpers barely audible. He stripped their frozen rags, wrapping them in furs, rubbing their chests with steady hands. His mind flickered to his daughter, her weight in his arms, her laugh stolen by blood and smoke. He shoved the memory down, focusing on the living. The twins stirred, their breaths strengthening. Toby watched, silent, her gaze never leaving him. He boiled water, mixed it with dried meat for broth, and fed Toby first. She choked it down, coughing, then spoke in fragments. 3 days, maybe 4. Lost count. They burned our wagon. Papa wouldn't sell the land. Said there's gold under it. Her voice cracked. Mama pushed me out the back, told me to run. Said find Black Wolf. Said, Papa saved you once. The name hit like a war club. Michael Dawson. Denver, 1879. A white scout who'd cut Black Wolf down from a noose when a cavalry patrol mistook him for a raider. They'd shared whiskey, sworn to guard each other's blood if fate turned cruel. Black Wolf had buried that vow with his past, but here it was, staring him down in a girl's frost-bitten face. "Your pa was a good man," he said, voice low. "What's under your land?" Toby's hand trembled as she pointed to her boot. Black Wolf eased it off, finding a folded paper stuffed against her ankle. A map, crude but clear, marked with Michael's hand. The Dawson Ranch, a ridge, a red X for gold. "They killed him for this," she whispered. "Blackwood wants it all." He folded the map, tucking it into his belt. The fire cracked, casting shadows like specters. Outside, the storm howled, but Black Wolf's mind was already turning. Marcus Blackwood, a railroad snake in a suit, thought he could burn and steal his way to a fortune. He was wrong. "You're safe here," Black Wolf said, meeting Toby's eyes. "All three of you." She nodded, exhaustion claiming her, but her grip on the blanket stayed fierce. Black Wolf looked at the twins, sleeping now, and back to Toby, a warrior in a child's frame. The world had tried to break her. It failed, and for the first time in years, something stirred in Black Wolf's chest. A spark, not yet a flame, but enough to make him wonder if redemption was more than a fool's dream. Dawn broke over Montana territory, a pale slash of light clawing through the blizzard's fading roar. Black Wolf stood outside his lodge, eyes scanning the snow for tracks. The storm had buried most signs, but not all. A faint hoofprint, half filled, betrayed a rider's passing. Someone was watching. Inside, Tabitha Toby Dawson slept by the fire, her twins, Grace and Henry, curled against her like pups. The map, that blood-soaked promise of gold, burned in Black Wolf's mind. It wasn't just paper. It was a death warrant. And Marcus Blackwood, the railroad's venomous attorney, would kill to claim it. He checked Toby's frostbitten hands, wincing at the raw, peeling skin. She stirred, eyes snapping open, sharp as a hawk's. "They coming for us?" she whispered. "Not yet," Black Wolf said, voice low. "But they will." He handed her a tin mug of broth, watching her sip with the grit of a trail-hardened scout. The twins whimpered, and he warmed milk, testing it on his wrist before feeding them. Their tiny mouths worked, greedy for life. Toby's gaze flicked to her boot, where the map had been. "You keep it safe?" she asked. He nodded, patting his belt. "Safer than gold in a bank." The morning was still young when hooves crunched outside, deliberate and unhurried. Black Wolf grabbed his rifle, motioning Toby to stay low. Through a slit in the hide wall, he saw three figures. Sheriff Jonas Webb, his face tight with unease, and two men in black coats, Pinkerton badges glinting like snake eyes. Behind them, Marcus Blackwood, smooth as a vulture in his tailored suit, held a folded paper. "Black Wolf!" Webb called, voice half swallowed by the wind. "We need to talk." Black Wolf stepped out, rifle loose but ready. "Talk fast, Sheriff." Blackwood's smile was a blade's edge. "I'm here for the Dawson children, legal guardian, per their father's will." He waved the paper, its wax seal catching the light. "Signed by Judge Hale himself." Black Wolf's eyes narrowed. Michael Dawson's signature. He'd seen it once, bold and looping, on a trade deal in Denver. "Show me," he said. Blackwood handed it over, smug as a card sharp with an ace. The signature was wrong, too neat, like a clerk's forgery. "This ain't Michael's hand," Black Wolf said, tossing it back. "You're a liar, Blackwood." The Pinkertons tensed, hands drifting to revolvers. Webb shifted, caught between duty and dread. Blackwood's smile didn't falter. "Careful, Comanche. That's a federal judge's order. Defy it, and you're a wanted man." Toby's voice cut through from the doorway, small but iron-hard. "You killed my folks. I saw you throw that fire bottle." Blackwood's eyes flicked to her, cold as a winter moon. A child's grief talking. Sad, but no court'll hear it. Black Wolf stepped forward, towering over him. I hear it, and I know a snake when I see one. You got 3 days to crawl back to your hole, or I'll send you there myself. Blackwood's face twitched, but he held his ground. 3 days, then. After that, federal marshals will drag you out in chains. He turned, coat snapping in the wind, and rode off with his men. Webb lingered, muttering, "You're poking a hornet's nest, Black Wolf." "Good," he replied. "Let 'em sting." As the sheriff vanished into the snow, Black Wolf scanned the ridge. More tracks, fresh ones. Blackwood wasn't waiting 3 days. He'd strike sooner. Back inside, Toby clutched the twins, her face pale but fierce. "We can't stay here, can we?" Black Wolf shook his head. "We ride at dusk. There's a man, Miguel Santos, who runs a ranch north. He's fought Blackwood before." He knelt, checking her boots. "Can you walk?" She nodded, wincing as she stood. He packed jerky, furs, and ammo, rigging a sling for the twins. The map stayed tucked against his chest, its weight heavier than lead. As twilight bled purple over the valley, Black Wolf led them out, Toby hobbling beside him, the travois dragging behind. He taught her to watch the shadows, to listen for the snap of a twig. "Comanche don't survive by luck," he said. "We read the land." She mimicked his stance, eyes darting like a scout's. A mile out, he spotted a glint on the ridge, a rifle scope. "Down," he hissed, pulling her behind a boulder. A shot cracked, spitting snow where they'd stood. Black Wolf fired back, the echo rolling like thunder. The shooter fled, horse hooves fading fast. "They'll keep coming," Toby said, voice steady despite her trembling hands. Black Wolf met her gaze. "Let 'em. We're not running blind." The wind howled, carrying the promise of blood. Black Wolf felt the old warrior's fire kindling in his veins. Blackwood thought he'd cornered prey. He'd learned soon enough. This prey had fangs. Night swallowed Montana territory, the stars hidden by clouds heavy with snow. Black Wolf led Tabitha, Toby, Dawson, and her twins, Grace and Henry, through a maze of pines, the travois creaking behind. The echo of that rifle shot still rang in his ears, a warning that Marcus Blackwood's men were closing in. Toby's small frame moved with stubborn grit, her eyes scanning the dark as he'd taught her. They weren't prey anymore. They were hunters, and Black Wolf knew where to find allies who'd bare their teeth. Miguel Santos's ranch loomed ahead, a fortress of timber and stone perched on a hill, its lanterns cutting through the gloom like beacons. Black Wolf signaled Toby to halt, whistling a low Comanche call. A shadow moved, then another. Rifles lowered as Miguel, a grizzled ex-Texas Ranger, stepped into view. "You look like hell, Comanche," he said, eyeing the travois. "Trouble follows you." Black Wolf grunted. "Trouble's got a name. Marcus Blackwood." Inside the main house, firelight danced across faces worn by hardship. Ranchers, their hands rough as saddle leather, sat shoulder to shoulder. Pete Garrison, whose wife died in a railroad accident. The Chen family, burned out twice. David Mercer, a scar across his cheek from a Pinkerton's blade. Ruth Whitfield, a telegraph operator with eyes sharp as a blade, stood by the hearth, her notebook open. "Blackwood's been busy," she said, voice steady. December 12th, 1886. Telegram to his men. "Handle Dawson problem on Miller's Pass. Make it accidental." The day after, he wired, "Problem resolved. Acquire estate." Black Wolf's jaw tightened. The map in his belt felt like a coal against his skin. "He's done this before," he said. Ruth nodded, flipping a page. 15 families, all dead or driven off. Land grabs, forged deeds, murders dressed up as bad luck. A new voice cut in. Frank Dillon, a private investigator, his face a ruin of burn scars. Dawson hired me to dig into Blackwood. Found enough to bury him. Bribes, threats, blood money. Then his men left me for dead. He slid a leather case across the table, stuffed with ledgers, photos, and names. This is your noose for him. The room stirred, anger crackling like dry tinder. Black Wolf opened the case, scanning pages that read like a butcher's tally. Toby, silent till now, spoke up. He can't keep doing this. Someone's got to stop him. Her voice, small but fierce, turned every head. Black Wolf knelt, meeting her gaze. We will. But we need more than paper. He turned to Miguel. You in? The rancher grinned, teeth glinting. Been waiting for this fight. As the fire burned low, Black Wolf took Toby outside, teaching her to read the land under moonlight, how frost on a branch meant no one had passed, how a snapped twig screamed ambush. Comanche live by the earth, he said, handing her a knife. Feel it. Trust it. She gripped the blade, mimicking his stance, her frostbitten hand steady. I ain't scared, she said, though her breath shook. He nodded. Good. Fear's a liar. Before you ride with us further, folks, I need your help to spread this tale. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment with the town you're listening from. Let's see how far Toby's courage travels. It's your support that keeps these stories alive. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming. Dawn brought trouble. A scout burst in, panting. Pinkertons, 10 riders, coming fast. Miguel barked orders, ranchers grabbing rifles. Black Wolf positioned Toby near a window, her knife ready. Stay sharp, he said. The attack hit like a stampede. Bullets tore through timber, glass shattered. Black Wolf fired from cover, dropping a man in a black coat. Miguel's men held the wall, but smoke rose from the barn. They're burning us out, Pete shouted. Black Wolf sprinted through chaos, dragging a wounded Chen brother to safety. Toby's knife flashed, cutting a rope to drop a barricade on a Pinkerton's horse. The fight ended as fast as it began. 6 Pinkertons lay dead. The rest fled. The barn was ash, livestock gone. Black Wolf's lodge, he learned later, had been torched too. His wife's eagle charm, his daughter's braided cord, all dust. Rage clawed his gut, but Toby's voice cut through. They think they broke us, don't they? Her eyes burned, unyielding. He nodded, throat tight. They're wrong. Ruth approached, holding a telegram. Judge Martha Wilson's coming. Federal. She's clean. Hates railroad snakes like Blackwood. If we get Dillon's evidence to her, we can end this. Black Wolf looked at the faces around him, scarred, tired, but unbroken. The map, the ledgers, Toby's fire. It was enough. We move tomorrow, he said. Through the mountains. Blackwood's men'll be waiting. Miguel clapped his shoulder. Let 'em come! As the fire died, Black Wolf stood guard, the weight of the fight settling in. Toby slept, clutching her twins, a warrior born of snow and loss. He'd sworn to walk alone, but now, with allies forged in blood and a girl who'd faced hell, he felt the tide turning. Blackwood's empire was cracking. The next move was theirs. The Montana night clung to Black Wolf like a second skin, its cold promise of blood and reckoning driving him forward. Tabitha, Toby Dawson, her twins Grace and Henry bundled in furs, followed close, their travois scraping over frozen earth. Miguel Santos's ranch, now a smoldering memory of defiance, faded behind them. Black Wolf's allies, 15 ranchers, Ruth Whitfield with her damning telegrams and the weight of Frank Dillon's evidence, rode in grim silence. Judge Martha Wilson was their only hope, a federal beacon cutting through Marcus Blackwood's shadow. The mountain pass ahead, a jagged scar called Eagle's Maw, was their path to her and to justice. Eagle's Maw was a beast of ice and stone, its trail narrow as a coffin, flanked by cliffs that swallowed sound. Black Wolf led, his Comanche instincts reading every gust, every shadow. Toby rode behind, her small hands clutching the reins, eyes darting like a scout's. The twins, strapped to Ruth's saddle, whimpered against the biting wind. "Keep 'em covered," Black Wolf called, voice low. Ruth nodded, tucking blankets tighter. The air was sharp enough to split skin, and every step risked a plunge into the abyss below. A mile in, the trail turned treacherous, slick with black ice. A horse slipped, its rider, a young Chen brother, grabbing rock to steady himself. Black Wolf signaled a halt, scanning the ridgeline. "We're being watched," he said, spotting a flicker of movement. Toby's breath caught. "Blackwood's men," he nodded, handing her his spyglass. "Look for dust. They're not far." She peered, then pointed. "There, east. 2 riders." Her voice was steady, honed by his lessons. He grunted approval. "Good eyes." Night fell, and they camped in a shallow cave, its mouth half blocked by snow. Black Wolf built a fire, keeping the smoke low, while Miguel posted guards. Ruth warmed milk for the twins, her face etched with worry. "How far to Helena?" she asked. 2 days, if the pass holds, Black Wolf said. "Blackwood'll try to cut us off." Toby, sharpening her knife, looked up. "Why's he so scared of a judge?" Black Wolf met her gaze. "Wilson's clean. It can't be bought. That makes her dangerous." The fire crackled, casting ghosts on the cave walls. Toby's question lingered, heavier than the cold. "You ever run from a fight?" she asked, voice soft but piercing. Black Wolf's hand stilled on his rifle. "Once," he said, eyes distant. "After my wife and girl died, I ran from everything. Life, hope, myself." He paused, the weight of years in his voice. "You changed that, kid. You and them twins." Toby's lips twitched, not quite a smile. "Guess we're even then." A shout from the guard snapped them alert. "Riders! South!" Black Wolf doused the fire, grabbing Toby and shoving her behind a boulder. 8 Pinkertons, led by Cole Jennings, Blackwood's foreman, emerged from the dark, their torches spitting red against the snow. "Come out, Comanche!" Jennings called, voice slick as oil. "Hand over the kids and the papers, or we bury you here." Black Wolf signaled Miguel, who crept along the cliff with 2 ranchers. "Keep the twins quiet," he whispered to Ruth. She nodded, pressing Grace and Henry close. The fight erupted like a thunderclap. Black Wolf fired, dropping a Pinkerton's horse. Miguel's men loosed a volley, scattering the attackers. Jennings ducked, returning fire, his bullet grazing Black Wolf's arm. Blood seeped, but he ignored it, reloading with steady hands. Toby, crouched low, tossed a rock to distract a gunman, giving Miguel a clear shot. The pass echoed with gunfire, snow avalanching in bursts. Jennings cursed, rallying his men, but Black Wolf flanked them, using the cliffs like a Comanche war trail. A knife throw took 1 man down. A rifle butt felled another. Jennings fled, 3 men trailing him, the rest dead or wounded. Black Wolf let them go, knowing they'd carry fear back to Blackwood. The ranchers cheered, but he silenced them, checking the wounded. A Chen brother clutched a gut shot, his breath ragged. Black Wolf knelt, offering a nod. "You fought well." The man grinned weakly, then stilled. Toby watched, her face pale but hard. "He died for us," she said. Black Wolf nodded. "And we'll make it count." Dawn broke, gray and merciless. The pass stretched ahead, its end promising Helena and Judge Wilson. Black Wolf bound his wound, eyes on Toby as she helped Ruth with the twins. Her knife, now bloodied, hung at her belt. She wasn't a child anymore. The mountains had forged her into something fiercer. "We keep moving," he said. "No stopping till we find her." The wind howled, but it carried no threats now, only the call of a fight they couldn't lose. Helena's dawn was a cold blade, slicing through the mist as Black Wolf's band emerged from Eagle's Maw. Tabitha Toby Dawson, her twins Grace and Henry, and their ragged allies, Ruth Whitfield, Miguel Santos, and a dozen surviving ranchers, rode toward the promise of Judge Martha Wilson. Toby's knife, bloodied from the pass, hung heavy at her belt, her eyes no longer a child's, but a warrior's. Black Wolf, arm bandaged, felt the map and Frank Dillon's evidence burn against his chest. The fight wasn't over, but the end was near, and it would be written in blood or justice. Providence's streets were hushed, the town's pulse stifled by Marcus Blackwood's grip. Dust swirled as Black Wolf's group approached the courthouse, a squat building of weathered oak. Judge Wilson's coach waited, flanked by 4 federal marshals, their rifles gleaming. Black Wolf dismounted, helping Toby down, her twins cradled by Ruth. "Stay close," he told her, voice low. She nodded, jaw set. The crowd gathered, ranchers, merchants, widows, whispering as Wilson stepped from the coach, gray hair pinned tight, eyes like flint. "You're Black Wolf," she said, sizing him up. "Show me what you've got." Inside, the courthouse smelled of dust and old lies. Black Wolf laid out the evidence on a scarred table. The map marking the Dawson gold, Ruth's telegrams ordering murder, Dillon's ledgers of Blackwood's crimes, 15 families broken, their lands stolen. Toby stood tall, her voice cutting the silence. "I saw him," she said, eyes locked on the empty doorway. "Marcus Blackwood threw a fire bottle at our wagon. Mama and Papa burned. I hid, but I saw." Wilson's gaze softened, but her voice was steel. "That's a heavy claim, girl. You'd swear it in court?" Toby didn't flinch. "I'd swear it on their graves." The doors slammed open. Blackwood strode in, polished boots clicking, flanked by Cole Jennings, a dozen Pinkertons, and Judge Cornelius Hale, his face gray with fear. "This is a farce," Blackwood snarled, pointing at Black Wolf. "He's a savage, kidnapping children, stealing documents." Wilson raised a hand, silencing him. "I'll decide what's farce, Mr. Blackwood. Present your case." He shoved a forged will forward, claiming guardianship of the Dawsons. Black Wolf countered, holding up Michael's true signature from a marriage certificate obtained from Reverend Crane. "This ain't his mark," he said. "You faked it." The crowd murmured, anger rising like a tide. Hale stammered, sweat beading. Wilson's eyes narrowed. "Mr. Blackwood, these telegrams, your orders to kill the Dawsons, are damning. Care to explain?" Blackwood's smile was a rattlesnake's hiss. "Forgeries. A desperate ploy by a Comanche and a grieving child." Toby stepped forward, voice ringing. "I ain't lying. You killed them for gold. I saw you, and I'll never forget." A woman in the crowd, Mrs. Chen, shouted, "He burned my home too." Pete Garrison added, "My wife died because of him." Voices piled on, years of pain breaking free. Wilson slammed her gavel. "Enough! Marcus Blackwood, you're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, and murder." The Pinkertons tensed, Jennings's hand twitching toward his gun. Miguel's ranchers raised rifles, outnumbering them. Blackwood's face twisted, but Wilson's voice cut deeper. "Your Washington friends. Under investigation. The Attorney General's been watching you for months." Jennings shook his head, unbuckling his gun belt. "I didn't sign for murder." He walked out, half the Pinkertons following. Blackwood stood alone, eyes hollow. "This changes nothing," he spat. Wilson nodded to her marshals. "Chain him." The courthouse erupted. Cheers, sobs, embraces. Black Wolf pulled Toby close, her twins safe in Ruth's arms. The Dawson Ranch was restored, its gold vein, worth $2 million, secured for the children. That night, under a sky ablaze with stars, Black Wolf proposed to Ruth by the fire. "I've walked alone too long," he said, voice rough. "You, Toby, the twins. You're my band now." She smiled, eyes wet. "Took you long enough, Comanche." Toby grinned, calling her Ma for the first time. Years later, the Dawson Ranch thrived, rebuilt with Comanche wisdom and rancher sweat. Toby, now a young woman, used the gold to found the Dawson School, teaching law and landcraft to kids from forgotten corners. Black Wolf, once a broken warrior, stood on the porch, watching Grace and Henry chase fireflies. Ruth leaned against him. "You kept your vow," she said. He nodded, feeling Michael Dawson's shadow at peace. Toby joined them, her knife now a tool for carving futures. "We're family," she said, voice steady. "Always." The Montana wind sang softly, carrying their story into the endless night. The Montana wind carries Black Wolf and Toby's tale into the stars, a story of courage forged in ice and justice won through grit. What did their fight stir in you? Drop a comment with your thoughts. Where did this journey take you? Your voices keep these stories alive, and I'm grateful for every one of you riding along. Black Wolf, Toby, and their family found their dawn. Now it's your turn to share what this meant to you. Until the next trail, when we'll meet again under a new sky, keep the fire burning. See you soon, out there in the wild.